Tonight's Up Close is about one man's parallel passions: to expose a terrible wrong and honor a remarkable talent. His subject, his obsession, you might say, is an American slave and musician named Tom Wiggins. In the 19th century, Blind Tom, as he was called, made millions for his owners performing at concert halls around the world, yet he never saw a penny. Mentally impaired, perhaps autistic, Blind Tom was marketed as a musical oddity, but his talent was so extraordinary that it left a rich record of published music and rave reviews. For the last 6 years, another American musician, John Davis, has uncovered that record and brought it back to life. Davis, a classical pianist trained at Juilliard, also has a lifelong love for the music of Black America. And from the moment he discovered Blind Tom Wiggins, John Davis was obsessed. My colleague Dave Marish begins this Up Close with John Davis performing the music of Blind Tom Wiggins at the Springer Opera House in Columbus, Georgia.
Where and how did Blind Tom enter your life?
I came across the name of Blind Tom in a bibliography of keyboard music of black composers. I knew almost nothing about him at this time, and one of the works listed was said to have been in the a collection of the Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center, which was literally next door to the Juilliard Library. So, like so many whims that I have, I just decided to walk across the plaza into the library and see if I could find this piece and see what it was about.
And the name of this composition is the Cyclone Gallop.
Yes, or sometimes called a galop.
Give us a selection, if you will, a little bit of Cyclone Gallop.
This is what I heard when I first started to play.
You were really hooked first by the music.
Really, by the music. This was someone who was clearly a fairly refined composer whose music may or may not have been neglected. At this point, I didn't yet know what I was about to come across.
So tell me a little bit about the next steps.
Well, of course, none of his music was in print anymore, and there were about 100 pieces attributed to him, of which only there were about 30 or 40 that were ever published. So I was kind of on a quest. Further fueling my interest was a trip out originally to the Hoboken Public Library in New Jersey. They had a photo of his grave in the Evergreen Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York. Now, it turns out that I live in Brooklyn, and this cemetery is just 15 minutes from my home. First of all, it's hard to find out that he was even buried there, and they had to get one of the cemetery administrators to go out to the site to find the grave for me. Well, after about a 30-minute walk around the poorest part of the cemetery, he eventually settles on this spot, and he points down to the ground at this dusty, bare, headstoneless patch of dirt, and lo and behold, that's the final resting place of Blind Tom.
Just a patch of dirt, no stone, no marker,
Nothing.
No identification.
Nothing.
At what point did this quest, this mission, become not just a part, but a central part of your life?
Blind Tom was not supposed to take over my life, but what I didn't realize is that there was this incredible story. Once I started to gather information and materials, archival materials, I thought of putting together kind of a one-man multimedia theatrical concert. The most famous American pianist of the mid to late 19th century, the Georgia slave sensation, Blind Tom.
Emancipation complete. Come here, the last slave set free by order of the Supreme Court of the United States. The great musical prodigy of the age, the most marvelous genius living, Blind Tom, the eighth wonder of the world.
John, the word which defined Blind Tom's whole life. He was born a slave.
Yes, Tom and his two siblings and his two parents, Mingo and Charity Wiggins, were bought by a man named General James Neal Bethune. Two of their children were normal, but a third, an infant boy named Tom, was blind, thought to be mentally impaired, and deemed utterly useless.
How did they learn that this was in fact the piano prodigy?
And the Bethune family was seated around the dinner table. And all of a sudden they hear some plunking on the piano in the neighboring salon, but not just sort of random plunking, actually the piece that one of the Bethune daughters had herself been studying. Then they all kind of tiptoe down the hallway and find this little infant playing the daughter's piano piece, and lo and behold, that was young Tom.
And General Bethune seems to have wasted no time in developing this prodigious talent. By age 7, Tom is performing publicly, and by age 5 is already credited with a pretty remarkable composition.
Yes.
Give us a little bit, if you will, of Rainstorm, this composition credited to Blind Tom Wiggins at the age of 5. It's pretty mature work.
Pretty mature. Pretty remarkable. When I think of what I was doing at age 5 compared to this, it's pretty amazing. Annual income from Tom's concerts approached $100,000, equivalent today to $1.5 million a year.
Up Close, brought to you by Chevy Trucks.
I hate it when he does that. Sorry about the dust.
After the new roomy 7-passenger Chevy Trailblazer, everything else just seems kind of weak.
I left the bagels in the jet.
The new Chevy Trailblazer, like a rock.
Who was the first American woman in space? Joseph?
Everybody can use a little expert help with school.
Do you have everything on this list?
At our one-stop back-to-school center, our experts will help with everything on your list. And once again, Office Depot donates 5% of your purchase to the school of your choice.
Need a lift? I'll take the shuttle.
Office Depot. What you need to know.
Jack the Ripper, perhaps the greatest unsolved mystery of all time, until now. Thursday, the most famous crime writer of our time reveals dramatic new DNA evidence and tells Diane Sawyer she's cracked the case on Primetime Thursday.
To be the assistant of Will Butler, network anchor, you need someone perfect. Or just someone from the secretarial pool.
I'm working on the 22nd floor.
Good morning.
Oh my God. Here's your news summary.
That's your Tim.
Introducing Sarah Rue in a brand new comedy that proves nice girls can finish first.
Oh my God.
Less Than Perfect. Tuesdays, 9:30, 8:30 Central this fall on ABC.
Jim is a federal agent. He's headed to Bush, Nevada to solve a mystery.
What are you looking for in this town, Jim?
But you can take part and solve it at home.
I think there's something big happening here.
You can win the money he's searching for.
There is a substantial amount of money missing from my safe.
Go home, Jimmy. Don't go looking for things you can't find.
Bush, Nevada, Thursdays 9, 8 Central this fall on ABC.
by the time he's about 10, his career has developed to the point where General Bethune actually leases him out to a promoter to, I guess, put him on the road, as we would say.
He essentially leased Tom out for 3 years at the cool sum of $15,000.
Now, how was Tom marketed?
I've seen large broadsides or posters of his concerts that say, you know, see Boy Tom or Tom the Boy Prodigy Pianist play, and they'd also emphasize the fact that he was completely uneducated, which was a total fabrication. In point of fact, from the minute they discovered his talent, Tom was being taught by some fairly serious teachers, and by all accounts he practiced to quite a good many hours every day. But apparently very quickly he had amassed a huge repertoire of pieces, which eventually went to an astounding 7,000 established works by Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, Mendelssohn, and Liszt, among many others.
Wasn't enough that he was a prodigious virtuoso, but there were all sorts of stunts and tricks that became an integral part of the act.
Somebody would come on stage and at random play notes on the keyboard with Tom's back turned to the keyboard, and he would identify the notes. Another stunt was somebody, probably the best pianist in town, would come up to the stage and play an original composition that Tom could have not possibly heard before, and Tom would sit down and instantaneously play back the piece verbatim, including mistakes.
From some of the symptoms that have been chronicled by observers, it seems likely that Tom was autistic. Give us some sense of what a strange presentation, I guess would be the way to put it, that blind Tom Wiggins made when he took the stage.
His whole body language was very strange. When he sat at the piano, he had all these horrible facial contortions, and he grunted and groaned, and when the piece was over, he would clap for himself. And I mean, clearly he was kind of a strange guy. He used to introduce his own compositions in the third person. So before he'd play them, he'd stand up and he'd basically say, "This boy Tom will now play such and such a piece." I mean, that would be an awfully strange way of introducing your own piece, and maybe an indication of the kind of distancing that autistic people sometimes have to their own sense of being in the world. Tom's career took off. At a typical recital, the program was strictly by request. Audience members would choose what they wanted to hear from this list of pieces distributed beforehand.
Blind Tom became a gold mine to General Bethune, became literally a pop star.
Well, there are reports, although unconfirmed, that prior to the Civil War, the annual income from Tom's concerts approached $100,000, equivalent today to $1.5 million a year.
This was an immensely popular musical star, sold a lot of sheet music, had fame, made a fortune, but not for himself.
Right. In fact, almost none of the money ever went to him. The ultimate irony is a lot of Tom's concerts during the war were given for the benefit of the Confederate cause. After emancipation even occurred, he was basically controlled by the family which had originally enslaved him. So even throughout his life to his dying day, he always had someone controlling his life. And in our society, you're supposed to reap the rewards of your own talent, and he never was given that opportunity.
What is it about Blind Tom, you think, that speaks to John Davis?
Hollywood's greatest star has disappeared.
Can you tell us why you're disposing of the body?
But to understand the truth,
I didn't kill anyone.
you have to understand the lie.
There's no one to kill.
New
Line Cinema presents
You did create me.
I've never really seen Simone up close. Have you?
Al Pacino.
I swear I made Simone.
Victor, she made you.
Simone, rated PG-13. Virtually everywhere August 23rd.
Looking for better allergy relief? It's right under your nose. Benadryl is proven better than the leading prescription antihistamine at relieving your worst allergy symptoms, like runny noses. Benadryl, 54% more effective.
Jenna, she's got my natural grace, but I don't want her to have scars like mine. I treat her cuts and scrapes with Neosporin.
Treating scrapes with Neosporin helps minimize the appearance of scars, as it prevents infection. Use Neosporin. Every cut, every time.
Okay, bye. Company's coming. There's no time to vacuum these pet odors out.
That's okay. Here's a great idea. It's my Arm & Hammer vacuum-free foam carpet deodorizer with baking soda. It absorbs and eliminates carpet odors without vacuuming. Foam disappears in seconds, and so do pet smoke and food odors. The room smells fresh and clean. And when you do vacuum, use my Arm & Hammer carpet and room deodorizer. Sprinkle or spray carpet odors away with Arm & Hammer.
Realtors help you buy and sell real estate, but helping build communities is what they do best. Like Gil Gillenwater from Arizona. Gil organizes volunteers to help build children's shelters in Mexico.
Every child, no matter where they're born, deserves the basic needs of the human condition.
Across the country, realtors are making their communities a better place to live. That includes Charlie Oppler, who volunteers as a basketball coach. Realtors adhere to a code of ethics. It's these values that help them live up to an even higher standard.
He's the defective detective. He's afraid of the dark, heights, crowds, and milk. So why are the bad guys afraid of him?
We're working on the milk.
Monk premieres Tuesday on ABC.
Imagine a world with no zebras, no pandas, tigers, or elephants. Gone forever. Nations working together with treaties protecting natural beauty, saving the environment for our future. Think environment. Think UN. It works.
Well, I was 10 when I first got involved with drugs. I skipped school because, nobody cared. I was on drugs, and my mom didn't really care because she was on drugs. She was never home. I was in 8th grade for like 3 years. I was heading nowhere. I just thought the only way I can make something out of my life is that if I get an education, I don't want to be a loser, some loser getting high all the time. I want to make something out of it.
My brother died from leukemia. He was 3 years old. Blood-related cancers are still claiming lives, but progress is being made, thanks in part to the efforts of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. They're helping to find cures. They're also improving the lives of patients and their families. For help and information, call the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society or visit their website. Find out what progress they're making and what you can do to make it even greater.
On the Springer Opera House stage where Blind Tom had played, playing Blind Tom's music to today's generation of Columbus, Georgia?
On one hand, it was eerie. It's as if you were in the presence of him. But on the other hand, it ended up being a very fulfilling event for me. Right prior to when I did my one-man show, I was approached by a lovely couple, Moat and Patty Andrews, who turns out are the great grandchildren of General Bethune.
I've heard my mother talk about Blind Tom. He was still in people's mind, the concerts that he gave, and the fact that he was a child prodigy.
They were very open-hearted and wanted to meet the descendants, Tom's blood descendants, who were in attendance at the same performance.
I'm a great niece, Hazel Bird. He said, I'm a descendant of the Bethune. I don't know whether you really want to shake my hand. I said, yes, I don't have any animosity toward anybody. And so we shook hands and we chatted a while. Mm-hmm.
I was thrilled to death. You know, it was just a wonderful experience. I mean, you look back and say what all my family did to their family.
I'm Mildred Miles, and my grandmother was Blind Tom's niece. We certainly don't hold any grudges, but we still are gonna have our family joke. We need to get our money from the Bethunes.
The fact that this concert facilitated the meeting of members of both the Bethune family and Blind Tom's family was really a touching thing, and as a pianist, it made me feel like someone who's not totally marginal to the society. Great to see you.
Be so happy to see you. I'm going to give you a hug.
I'm in touch with quite a few of the family members. They seem to really be hungry to know more about him, and I've done my best to send them anything I come across.
How much time over the last 5 to 7 years have you spent on Blind Tom?
Oh, thousands of hours. I mean, doing this kind of grassroots detective work takes a lot of time. Going to sort of dusty old bookstores in the South and pouring through boxes and boxes of sheet music.
This path, this mission has led you to a lot of information and insights into Blind Tom. What about into John Davis? What have you learned about yourself through this trip?
I think, first of all, learned that I wanted to kind of have a little more, or through my music, to achieve something that was a little more relevant to the society in which we live. And because when you're dealing with something like Blind Tom's issue, you're dealing with issues of race, which are just an open wound in American society. But I'm happy to thrust myself in the middle of that rather than sort of just play a lot of music that only a real small group of people could care about.
What is it about Blind Tom, do you think, that speaks to John Davis?
You know, other than it being a very touching story and there's beautiful music to be played that nobody knows, here was a person involved in classical music who was a perfect vehicle for showing all these different sides of me, and my interest in classical music, my interest in black music and Southern black culture, and my interest in doing historical research and writing and these kinds of things all were perfectly coming together through my pursuit of Blind Tom.
Is this a love match or simply a solid business and artistic collaboration?
First of all, the business side of it has not been that remunerative, at all. But I think it's a fair question because anytime you talk about Blind Tom, exploitation is a central issue. But at the same time, his music deserves to be played as much as Beethoven or Schubert or Bartók or Stravinsky or Bach.
What do you think is the take-home message?
For me, ultimately, it's the music itself. Because whatever is said about Blind Tom that's right or wrong or been exaggerated or played down, the music is what stands out and is really unequivocal. No one can deny that this guy wrote some quite creditable pieces of music. He just finally put a gravestone on the grave of Blind Tom.
Hey Jake, where's your dad?
Oh, it's birthday bash thing at Home Depot.
It's Home Depot's 23rd anniversary celebration. Get end-of-season savings of 20% on ceiling fans and portable fans. For 23 years, we've been the home of guaranteed low prices. Celebrate and save at the Home Depot and Expo Design Center.
You must all break out of your humdrum existences. The atom becomes the flower, becomes the ox, becomes the man. We all must change. The world needs change. You, sir, you must change.
Chevy Avalanche. The only vehicle that changes from an SUV to a pickup. There's also Motor Trend's 2002 Truck of the Year.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Chevy Avalanche. Like a rock.
New this fall on ABC. Welcome to San Francisco's Mission General.
Your father needs a new heart.
There are rules and protocols to follow.
Try not to let arbitrary rules get in the way of helping patients.
A new drama that will take on the system. It's
brilliant.
MDs, new this fall, Wednesdays 10/9 Central on ABC.
You know how hard it is to get everything all ready every morning?
Go, run, look, fine.
Well, try doing it on the air.
Today's author, Shelley Magnus. Did you read the book?
Yeah, of course. What a beautiful, beautiful story. I highly recommend it.
Thank you very much. Many of the critics have called me an ugly, hate-filled racist because of my views.
Did I say read? It was more like a skim.
Life with Bonnie, Tuesdays, 9/8 Central this fall on ABC.
New this fall on ABC. How do you make the season's biggest Emmy-nominated miniseries even bigger?
What is this place? How did I get here?
You mega-size it into a weekly series.
It's gonna be so cool.
Every Thursday, take a magical journey to a land apart from time.
Your world sounds incredible.
Dinotopia, Thursdays 8/7 Central this fall on ABC.
Travis just turned 30, but his life hasn't turned out as planned. He still lives at home, he still longs for a career, and he's still in love with the girl that got away.
Do you ever wish you could get a second chance?
This fall, his wish will come true.
Last night, I went to bed on my 30th birthday, and I woke up this morning, I was 16.
He'll get a second chance at his life.
But I'm gonna do things differently this time. What if I make a fool out of myself? What if you make a hero?
That was then. Fridays, 9/8 Central, this fall on ABC.
Today, at long last, in Evergreen Cemetery in Brooklyn, there is a headstone.
The family of Blind Tom read this article about my work. It mentioned the unmarked grave at Evergreen Cemetery. And on July 1st of this year, 2002, we just finally put a gravestone on the grave of Blind Tom. And in a ceremony that was attended by about 25 or 30 members of Tom's extended family. I played a piece by Blind Tom, Rev Charmant.
Rev Charmant, Charming Dream?
Yes.
If you will.
To sign up for our daily up-close email, visit abcnews.com.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now traveling to all 50 states in 50 weeks in search of America.
Eddie George of the Tennessee Titans helps the United Way build stronger communities by supporting programs that create safer neighborhoods. Eddie's work ethic is contagious. On the football field,
come on, guys. Come on.
It's contagious. Slackers.